Kia ora. Welcome to the very first episode of RebeccaAnneKnits podcast. My name is Rebecca or Bex, and I love knitting podcasts, so I thought I would start my own. Why not? I'm just going to follow the sort of normal structure of talking about my whips and my finished objects and my future plans and potentially some acquisitions as they come in. So first off, I thought I'd just share a little bit about myself and my knitting journey. I live in Wellington, New Zealand, and I've been knitting since I was a child. My mum taught me when I was a kid. I did some like scarf projects with her and like a knit flat sweater. And then I didn't really pick up knitting again until I was in my 20s when my friends started having kids, and I did some baby knits. Which I loved. I got really into. I knit things for my own 3 daughters, and then kind of in 2019 I decided that I wanted to start knitting for myself. So to facilitate that, I taught myself through YouTube how to knit continental, because I was quite a slow English thrower before that. And yeah, so I started that. I knit my first sweater kind of at the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic hit. And then since we had a pandemic and we were all locked down at home, I started knitting more and more and more, and buying more and more and more yarn. And yeah, now I know, looking back, love all the yarny knitty things. I can crochet, but I'm not particularly good at it. I don't enjoy it as much as knitting, so I incorporate a little bit here and there, but mostly I knit and stash yarn, because I love that too. What else about me? I'm 35 years old. I'm a mother of 3 daughters who are 10, 8 and 5. And I've been married to my high school sweetheart Kevin since, well, it's coming up 15 years. So since I was 17 I've been with him. So that's really cool. And what else to share? I'm studying to become a midwife. I was initially a hairdresser out of school. I trained as a hairstylist and worked in that industry for about 8 years, and then I took a break to have my kids. I've spent the last sort of 10 years at home as a stay-at-home parent, and now I am back in full-time school studying to become a midwife. So I have 1 more year to go on my degree to qualify as a midwife. So yeah, working all this yarny goodness in amongst my family and study life. That's enough about me. Let's start talking about the yarny goodness. So let's just start with finished objects, shall we? What first? I think first I'll talk about my Daft Days cardigans. I was really stoked to be chosen to be part of the test knit for the Creabay's most recent release, the Daft Days cardigan. So I knit actually 2 samples of this, because I started my first one. I loved the colours in the yarn before I started. I got gauge, it was great. But as I was knitting it up, I just wasn't falling in love with it. I'm not a really stripy sort of person, and so I wasn't really feeling it, because I wasn't kind of doing the rainbow advent vibe that originally came with. And so then I started a second sample, which also wasn't rainbow advent, but it was a whole pile of mini skeins in peachy pinky corally tones, and I did a fade. I faded the colours all together rather than doing a stripe, and I like that one much more. I finished them both though before the test knit finished, and one has short sleeves, because the stripy sleeves were even worse than the stripy body, so I modified a little bit, but I'll show them to you now. I'll pop some photos in because I'm not going to get changed. Here is my first sample. So this one is knit up using a DK weight New Zealand merino, a superwash merino, from I call it my local yarn store. It's not actually that close to me. It's about 4 hours drive from me, but I buy all my stuff online from them. And it's on one of their standard bases, but they did a limited edition dip dye on one of their regular bases, their orb base, which is 100% superwash merino. Let me see, I've got a spare skein left over here, so that's the deep blue. What I found was that because it's a dip dye, the one I initially started with is quite a lot lighter. You can see here on the back, quite a lot lighter than the one that I finished with. And so then when I was doing the sleeves, it was just even more evident. So yeah, I didn't continue with the sleeves, but I actually really like it how it is, and I think it's really cute. It's summer here in New Zealand. This is the pink one. And I wasn't going to be wearing a long sleeved DK weight cardigan in quite a while, so it's really nice and really versatile for my climate. So that's that one. And this one is my other sample. So you can see this one is faded rather than striped. It's still the same sequence. It's a 4-row repeat with a slip stitch pattern, but I just used one colour going into the next rather than alternating. Yeah, got some cute little curly buttons on there. And this one I actually steeked. So the original is written to be knit flat from the bottom up, and for my blue and pink one, I reversed the stitch pattern. So instead of doing the knit row as your pattern row and then purl back, I actually reversed it and did my pattern row first, and then did knit back, so it was less purling. For this one, I was like, well, if I'm going to try and finish 2 in the time period, I'm going to try steeking it. Someone else had already done that and it was really successful, so I followed her instructions. And yeah, so I steeked this one, and then just, yes, I used the crochet reinforcement method, and then I just whip stitched down the little facing that it created. So I think that's quite tidy, not too bad. Pretty happy with that for my first ever steeked garment. I used a superwash merino hand dyed fingering weight for this, from my favourite yarn dye Mama Wooling. Most of it was leftovers from my Paul Klee sweater, and a few like odd sock skeins and bits and pieces. I just pulled everything from my stash that kind of toned in with this colour story, and then I held it with a lace weight mohair. Hold on, I have it up here. I have it up on a cone, which I got from a local New Zealand cone yarn supplier. She gets all sorts of random things from all over the show. Yarn on Cone NZ, it's called. So I have a whole cone of this. So I held this throughout, with all the different fingering weights. So my gauge on this one ended up being just a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, so I don't have as much ease in this finished garment as suggested, but I still really like it. It looks really nice over dresses and skirts, and just as a slightly more fitted version. I made size 4 for both of mine. Yeah, and I love them. It was delightful. I'm just stoked to have been included in a test knit by the Crowbear. I couldn't quite believe my eyes when I got picked for that. It was just awesome. So really loved the process of this. Don't recommend trying to finish 2 of the sweater within the test knit. It's a little much. It did get a bit stressy there at the end, because it is a full all over stitch pattern. There are just plain rows, like every second row is a plain row, whether you do that flat and it's a purl row, or you do it flat and it's a knit row, or you do it steeked and it's a knit row. But there is a lot of finishing, and if you steek, there's a heap of finishing to do as well. So yeah, it's not the fastest knit there is, but really super enjoyable, and it looks amazing, especially the rainbow versions. I didn't have a rainbow of mini skeins that I could use, otherwise I may well have, because I just love it. Maybe an advent knit in the future. I'm a bit over it for now though, after doing 2 in a row, so I won't be knitting another one of these for my advent knits this year. But I do really like the pattern, and I would really like to make the shawl, because the reverse side is actually so cool. This is the reverse side of the pattern, stitch pattern, and I actually really love that. So I'm very keen to make the shawl at some point. So that's my most recently finished garments. I forgot to bring it with me, but I did just recently finish my November Lento as well. So I'll pop a photo in of that. I challenged myself this year to knit a lento sweater every month, and every calendar month. That's got to be within the calendar month. I joined the Let's Lento Cow with Rebecca from the Crayobayer and Amy Palco at the beginning of the year and knit a lento and fell in love with it. It only took me 6 days to knit and used hardly any yarn, and it was so simple. You cast on at the neckband and you cast off at the hem and the sleeve cuffs. There's no seaming, there's no finishing. It was just delightful. It was just delightful. And so I thought, hey, this was so easy. It only took 6 days. Let's make one of these every month. And so I have. I've finished my November one. Today is November 30th. And so I start my final one for the year. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll cast it on tomorrow. How exciting. So yeah, that's up and coming. I don't have that with me right now, but I'll pop a photo in like I said. And that's really nice. I again use some cone yarn. It is a mohair and a cotton merino, both on cones and a beige tone. And yeah, I really like that. It's like I live in the southern hemisphere, so it's just coming into summertime here, and so I didn't want to be knitting on a really heavy woolly sweater, so I used that cotton merino blend with the mohair, and it's actually so nice and light and easy to wear. It goes great with, you know, a pair of shorts or white jeans or whatever. So loving that one. That one's finished too. What else have I got that's finished? Oh yeah, I finished this shawl. This is a gift knit. Each year I love to gift my daughter's school teachers a little handmade gift. They get so many bottles of wine and boxes of chocolates. I like to be a little bit different. And I have 3 daughters in primary school now. So this is for my youngest daughter. She's 5. And she said her teacher's favourite colour is blue and purple. So this is a little shawlette that I've made for her. It is going to get, I say finished object, it is supposed to have tassels on the end, but that hasn't happened yet. It will. It will. I've got 2 weeks left before they finish school for the year, so it'll happen. So yeah, just nice little scarfy shawlette. This teacher who this is for is a crocheter, and so I know she'll really appreciate the hand knit gift. This is a version of the Elation shawl by Herb Garden Knitwear. It is actually written to have a mohair ruffle all the way along the edge, but I just don't have it in me. I don't have enough time left, and I don't have it in me to do that many stitches of a mohair ruffle right now. So my daughter agreed that we didn't need it and that we could just put tassels on the ends. So that's what's going to happen to this. Yarn wise, this is a Cascade yarn, Cascade Melilla it's called. It's a wool, silk and acrylic blend. And yeah, it's really lovely and drapey and light, just in garter stitch. Really love this pattern. It's super easy, beautiful little crescent shape. It is supposed to be bigger and have that ruffle, but this is what she's getting, and I think it will be great. So that's my first gift knit teach gift FO. I have 2, 3 others to do, but are not all finished yet. I did finish a pair of socks for my teacher, so my supervisor who's been guiding me through my study for the year and through my placements. I made a pair of socks for her. I've already gifted them, and I forgot to take a decent photo, but I have a sort of like work in progress photo which I can put up. Just some basic vanilla socks. I like shorty socks myself, and so these are I think 15 rows of rib and 15 rows on the leg, and then a foot and a toe, just a wedge toe. I enjoy doing afterthought heels at the moment. I recently discovered sock tubes. I managed to buy some really cheap on a stash, and I thought, oh, I'm going to give this a go. And I love it. I love it. It's so nice and easy and quick, especially for gift knits. I didn't actually know her shoe size, so I'm not really sure if they're going to fit her, but this is all that counts. So I made those socks. They're FO. I finished this pair of socks off for myself. These are just some scrappy vanilla socks. Like I said, shorty socks. So again, same thing, 15 rows of rib, 1 by 1 rib, 15 rows at the leg, and then I have an afterthought heel, which is exactly the same basically as the wedge toe. This is all leftovers from my last year's advent calendar from Mama Wooling, who is my all-time favourite hand dyer at the moment. And I had all these little nuggets left over. I made a Radvent cardigan with that last year. Last December I made the Radvent cardigan with my advent. So I had all these little nuggets left over, and so they became scrappy socks. I just have one of them here. I can put the photo up of the pair of them because they are different. They're not the same. They're scrappy, but really fun. And that's really all my FOs for the last little while. 2 test knit cardigans and a lento and some socks and a shawl. That's a lot of knitting for me. I've been doing a lot of knitting. Usually I can finish a sweater in a month. That's not usually too challenging, but to get a lento, 2 half days plus trying to get some gift knits in there, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of knitting. So there you go. I also didn't mention what I'm wearing. You've probably recognised this. This is the Lace and Fade Boxy by Hoki Lokatali, which was released I think late last year. I made this last December. It's kind of like my summertime knit. With studying full time, I haven't had a lot of spare brain space for complicated knitting, hence the lento was just my happy space, just stocking it in the round this year. But last summer when I was on study break, I made this. This was a mini skein fade set from Mama Wooling. I'll see if I can show you all the colours there. And yeah, it's lovely. I really like it. I didn't add the sleeve because I didn't want it to have as much ease as the pattern suggested, so I made the smallest size, which is perfect in the body, exactly what I wanted, but it did make for a smaller armhole, and I just didn't love how the sleeve was looking. I do have decently sized arms, bigger than average, and so the sleeve looked a bit funny. So I left the sleeve off, and I used, like I said, plush sock from Mama Wooling in a mini skein fade for these purpley pinky tones, and a full skein for the top. So I did have enough for the sleeves, I just chose not to do them. And then this lace in the pattern, it's supposed to be a silk mohair, but I actually used a merino mohair blend. I have it down here. So it's still like a 2-ply lace weight, but it is 30% mohair and 70% merino, so it's still got a really nice halo, and it's just like a top soft 2-fold lace weight, but it's not quite as floofy. It's got a little bit more structure to it, which I find so much easier to knit when you're doing like this fine lace. I find mohair held single on its own really hard to knit with, really fiddly, and this was still fiddly, and I made many mistakes and did a lot of frogging in this project, especially since I did one more stripe than in the original pattern, and so I kind of had to fudge the depth of my stripes. I literally just used up the entire mini skein and then moved to the next one, and so there was a little bit of mucking around. I ended up with an extra lace row and an extra coloured row to get all my minis in and to get it big enough. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that. That's what I'm wearing. And so I guess some whips. Yeah, here's another gift knit I'm working on. This is another pair of socks for another teacher. These for my other supervising teacher. She crochets, and so I thought I would try and incorporate some crochet. I saw this gorgeous sock pattern that had these little granny squares incorporated in, and it actually has a rib cuff above. I couldn't get it to look good, and I didn't want to pay the $10 for the pattern. I just wanted to make it up. I'm like, I know how to knit crochet granny square, and I know how to knit a sock. Can I just combine them? It's only being semi-successful. I think this is really cute, but it's not quite how I had originally imagined. But again, this is a sock tube. I'm doing the cheap gift way. So I've just added the wedge toe and the afterthought heel and these cute little granny squares on the top there. I've no idea what this blue yarn is because I bought this sock tube on D-Stash. But this beautiful variegated yarn is from Marmalade Yarn Co, who are a small hand dye here in New Zealand. That colourway is called Graffiti, and the like fluoro pink came with it as the mini. And I think the little soft pepperminty green is from Mama Willing, again another little leftover from my Paul Klee. I'll have to wear that one next time. I'll at least show it to you. That one turned out really good. I recently finished that as well. I'd had it on the needles most of the year, kind of just like ticking along in the background, being a fingering weight sweater. Took forever. But I love the finished result. It's really nice. I'll show you that one sometime. Yeah, so I've got one of those done, and one is just started. Here's my sock blank, my sock tube, and I'm just going to pick up for the toe. I have got my little I'll show you the side without the ends. My little granny squares ready to go there. So cute. It's so fun to make. I love that. So that's WIP. Another gift knit. My oldest daughter has a nail teacher, and she wanted a hat for him. So here is his muscle burr. Muscle burr? How do you say that? Muscle burr. I think that's how you say it. So it's going to be a two-tone. This is a hand-dyed New Zealand merino. No nylon, this one. It's 100% merino. It's like a high twist base. This is by Dreamfire Yarn Co. And I'm almost done. I'm on the crown decreases for the grey side. So it's getting there. My gauge is like half a stitch bigger now than it was when I measured it. So I'm really hoping that it's not going to be too big. I'm making the adult size large because it's for a man. I don't have a lot of experience knitting hats for men. So I'm not actually sure if it's going to be too big or not. I mean, it's way too big for me, but I have quite a small head, so I don't know. I'm just going to hope it works. If it seems really large when it's done, I might like steam it and then stick it in the dryer and just hope that it just shrinks up a little bit. I don't know. I'm nervous about it, but my daughter picked colours, so she wanted it to be able to be two-toned, so that's nearly done. I have 2 weeks. My kids finish school on the 15th of December, so I've got 2 weeks left to finish this. Well, this will only take like another hour. And then I have one more. I've got to finish the other one of these for my teacher by next Friday, because that's the last time I'll see her for the year. And then I have one more knit to go. Hold on, I didn't grab that skein. Let's get it. For my middle daughter's teacher, she wears a lot of scarves and things, so we're making her a little shawly, wrappy, scarfy thing as well. This is what I'm going to use. This is a Knit Crate skein. I did subscribe to them when they existed. I loved getting the little yarny package in the post. I was a bit sad when they closed down. But it's pricey. So with exchange rates and stuff, so it's probably for the best. Buy local. Stick to local. Yeah, so it's just this lovely, like, kind of deep olivey green that's blowing out a little bit, but it's really quite beautiful. Just a solid colour. This is a MCN, so a cashmere merino nylon sock yarn, and yeah, from Knit Crate. No idea what the colour was called. Lost the tag ages ago. So I'm going to use that. And what am I going to make? I'm not actually decided on the pattern yet, just like a single skein simple shawl pattern, something in garter stitch, because I don't want to do a whole shawl of purling in a hurry. Yeah, just something simple, something easy. If I decide before I finished editing this, I'll put a photo in, but otherwise you will see it next time. It'll just be a simple shawl. Probably you'll see a photo of it next time, because I'm not sure that I'll be podcasting again before I gift this. But anyway, that is, I guess it's more of a plan than a WIP, because it's not actually cast on yet, but that is going to happen. It's got to happen. That's all my gift knits that I have planned for this Christmas. I don't really have a lot of family that I gift knit for. I made my husband a sweater in our winter. Because it's summer for our Christmas and holiday season, it's not as easy to gift knitting, because nobody really wants a beanie or a pair of mittens or fluffy socks or a sweater when it's the middle of summer. So yeah, it's a little bit more weird. And so I don't do a lot. I just do the teachers. And I do sometimes gift hand knit to my bestie, who's also a knitter. But I haven't made her anything this year. I've just bought her lots of yarn. And I do have a couple of other friends who would probably appreciate hand knits, and I do sometimes gift them knits, but I more so give them to them for their birthdays because they're more seasonally appropriate then. So that's all my, is that all my whips? What else have I got on the go? Nope, I have another sweater. Of course I have a sweater. So I'm kind of in between on the lentos right now because I stick to knitting it within the calendar month. I finished my November lento, so I'm waiting till at least the 1st of December to cast on my December lento, so no lento on the needles, but I have to have a sweater on the needles at all times, surely. I have this one in the stitches bag here. I love this bag, so cute. And it's all cut themed. This is another test knit that I am working on. I'm quite far behind everybody else, but it's a long test period. It's not due until like the 2nd or 3rd of January, so I've got enough time. This is the duotone. Here we go, I'll hold that up for you. It is a bottom up drop shoulder sweater. Is it drop shoulder? I think it is. I haven't actually read through the entire pattern. It has this cool feature of the I cord that runs up the front and the back, and it also will run down the sleeves. I'll pop in a photo of the design. Yeah, so this is a fingering and I'm using a Surrey silk held double. The name suggests duotone. It's supposed to, the original is done with 2 different contrasting colours, so you get like a really dramatic mild effect. But I'm not doing that. I'm doing 2 quite similar colours, as you can see. So this is what I am using. The fingering weight here is another knit crate yarn. This is linen jewel, and it's 50% superwash merino, 30% linen, 20% silk. And then this is a Surrey alpaca from my favourite Mama Willing. And this is called Florals for Spring. Groundbreaking. And this is 75% brushed baby Surrey alpaca and 25% mulberry silk. So I'm using those together. And I'm loving it. It's like knitting a cloud, honestly. It's so soft and floofy and lovely and a bit hot to knit on. But I am working out, I've done about 20 centimeters of the body. I'm supposed to do about 30, but because there is a provisional cast on, I can stop at any time and start doing the top shaping. I did 20 centimeters and then I went to start it, and I just wasn't in the brain space to actually start doing the splitting and straight knitting and flat knitting and all of the above. So I'm just going to keep going because it's definitely not long enough yet. So yeah, it's around about 30 centimeters in the body length under the arm before the rib. I'm test knitting the smallest size, which will be like negative ease on me. It's supposed to be quite oversized. It's supposed to have like 10 to 20 centimeters of positive ease, but the only size left that they needed to test for was the first size, and I'm like, oh, it will actually fit me. It'll just fit me differently. So yeah, why not? So I'm making the smallest size. I also only had 3 skeins of this, and so that's about 900 meters, and so that's just enough to do the smallest size. My gauge is on point. I'm loving it. Just working away at it. Can you see those speckles? Mama Willing is just amazing at speckles. She's great. She's really local to me. She lives on the Kapiti coast, which is about a 40-45 minute drive from where I live. So yeah, super nice to support local. She just does gorgeous things. I have lots of her yarn actually. This whole cube here is Mama Willing yarn. Yes, love it. So yeah, I'm working away on that, and if it doesn't fit me, then I will get my daughter to model it or do some flat lays, and potentially, I'm not going to frog Surrey silk. I'll just block it out real big. I don't know what I'll do. I think it will fit. Like looking at it now, it's definitely going to fit around my body. It just won't have as much ease as recommend. Oh yeah, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It'll definitely fit me. and I'm following it to pattern, so, and my gauge is good, so I should be helpful, and I should get something I love out of it too. That's I think all my whips at the moment. I'm kind of anxiously waiting till tomorrow or whenever. I'm actually working tomorrow, so I might not, and I have a Christmas barbecue to go to, so there won't be much knitting happening actually tomorrow. But to start my new things, I have to wait till the 1st for my next lento, and I have to wait till the 1st to open my advents and start my advent knitting. So I might as well share about those with you now. My December lento is super exciting. I've been waiting for so long to cast this on. Like I mentioned, I participated in that CAL, the knit along, the Let's Lento knit along at the beginning of the year, and I actually won one of the prizes from that knit along, which is kind of crazy because I live in New Zealand on the other side of the world. I never win things. Most competitions are limited to the US and Canada or to the UK. They don't anyway. I was stoked, and I won this yarn from the Creabaya's own personal stash. She brought this for herself to use as a lento, but she never found a mohair she liked with it and decided not to go through with it and to gift it instead. So this is called The Duke. It's from the Bridgerton collection by Tūmaki Yarns, who's actually a New Zealander who's now based in the UK, a hand dyer over there, which is kind of ironic and cool. So I won this. Isn't it stunning? It's nothing. Well, I would never have purchased this for myself. As you can see behind me, I'm quite a pink lover. I'm also quite into blues, and I've got some more blues up here and some more out screen. Cool colours and blues and pinks and naturals and neutrals. I like a bit of green as well, but brown and purple, not my normal. But oh my gosh, so stunning. Love this yarn. I also couldn't find a mohair that I liked that went with it, and so I contemplated making a Tolster tee with it instead of a lento. But I just wanted to use it for my final lento. I just wanted it to be part of my lento journey. If you want to have a look at my hashtag, all my sweaters are on Instagram under the hashtag year of the lento. I'll try and put that on the screen so you can check them out if you want to see all my year of lentos, but I will make a video about it as well when the final one's finished. So I have this, and because I couldn't find a mohair that went with it that didn't detract from this stunningness, I actually hand dyed my own. So I had some undyed mohair. It was like 100 gram skein. It was gigantic, and so I hand dyed this just with food colouring and white vinegar in my kitchen pots. Really low tech, but it turned out gorgeous. And I'll show you. I knit up a tiny little swatch when I first did it just to see if it actually, oh, I'm still attached, how it turned out. And I actually love it. It just blends in and doesn't detract from, oops, let's get that out of the way, from the original yarn at all. It's just so pretty. I love that. I love that. It's going to be great. So that is my December lento. I will be casting that one on ASAP as soon as I get enough time to cast that on. So that'll get done soon. So pretty. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca from the Creabaya. If you ever see this, I'm so in love with this. I'm such a fangirl. It's going to be stunning. It feels gorgeous too. It's 100% super mosh merino, so it doesn't have a nylon, but that's amazing. Gonna use that. So that's probably my very next cast on. My other next cast on will be my advent knitting, because tomorrow is the 1st of December. Yay! I did a big D-stash earlier this year, and then took all the proceeds from that and splashed out on a hand-dyed advent from the UK. This is from the Skein and the Stitch, and this is her The Hobbit There and Back Again advent for this year. So it's 24 mini skeins, and we're doing a Hobbit read along as well. So I've dug out my childhood copy of The Hobbit. I was gifted this when I was, I don't know, about 13 or something from a close friend. So yes, I've dug this out of the attic. So I'm going to read along while opening my Advents, and I'm going to be making the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. I'm so excited. I don't know, like the colours of this Advent are supposed to follow the journey of Bilbo throughout the story, and so I'm not really sure if it's going to be like a cohesive fade or whether it's going to be completely different and random, or how the colours will kind of play. And from the mood boards and stuff, I don't think they're really colours I would wear, despite desperately wanting to have this Advent. So I thought a blanket's the way to go, because then I have it forever, and you know, I can just use it as my like knee rug when I'm knitting in the winter, and I'm all cozy. So I'm gonna knit that. I have my project bag all teed up. This is just a little Christmassy Advent bag that I have. That's not overtly winter. It's kind of annoying being in the southern hemisphere. It's sunny, it's summer, there's no snowmen, there's no snowflakes, there's no you know, like there's no winter coziness, it's stinking hot. So yes, I always try to theme my Christmas stuff Christmassy but without the snow, because it's just not snowy. Anyway, and I got these little pins. I love an enamel pin, so I picked up these just online, these little the Hobbit themed pins, and I have this big old dragon to be like smug. Isn't that fun? Love that. Yep, and so I'm using, I need it obviously for the Sweet Shop blanket, you need a second colour, like a main colour that you, it's designed, I'll put the picture up, to have your contrast colour in one half of the triangle, and a base colour throughout for the rest of the triangle. So I'm using this. This is Kelly & Co. It's an authentic Irish dongle tweed. It's produced by Skeins, who is that local yarn store and mill that I talked about. But they sent New Zealand and Australian merino over to Ireland and to this mill, and they made it into this Kelly & Co. dongle tweed yarn, which is just beautiful. It's a worsted weight, and you can see this one I brought, they had a half price sale on this earlier in the year, and so I bought a few colorways, and I'm not saying I'm disappointed with this one, but I kind of thought the tweedy bits would be a little bit more evident, but they are really quite subtle. And so I couldn't imagine a jumper in this. Like a sweater just didn't spring to mind that I was like, yes, that would look amazing in that. So I thought, I have enough, I will use it for this blanket, because Hobbits and Irish tweed, that goes together like so good. Love it. And New Zealand merino. So much of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings was actually filmed here, and some of it was filmed actually really close to where I live. Rivendell was filmed at the Kaitoki National Regional Park, which is just up the road, about 10 minutes up the road from where I live. And some of the scenes from the Fellowship of the Ring were filmed at the river that my parents' house at the time backed onto. So we could kind of see, I was a bit oblivious because I was sort of like a young teenager at the time. But we could actually see the film crew down on the riverbed doing some of the like galloping horse scenes. Yeah, it was really cool. Wish I'd paid a bit more attention now, but I wasn't to know at the time what a massive hit it was going to be. So I read all the books like before I watched the movies, because they kind of came out and I was kind of the right age to be into it. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this knit along, read along, beautiful blanket that I'm going to create. So I have my first skein all caked up, ready to go in my little project bag, and just waiting for tomorrow to open that first mini skein and to read the first part of the book. So it's been years since I've actually read the book. I've watched the movies again recently, but I haven't read the book probably since I was a teenager, probably at least 20 years ago. So I've got the Lord of the Rings trilogy as well, so I'm going to hopefully work through all of those over the summer. so yeah, looking forward to that. So that's my next cast on, my 2 next cast offs. And what else? My other exciting plan, is that I don't know if any of you watch Megan of the Naughty Mess podcast, but she and I got to chatting on one of her podcasts and messaging back and forth on Instagram, and we ended up doing a international yarn swap. So she and a couple of her yarn buddies sent me a whole pile of beautiful hand-dyed US yarns, and I sent her back a package of hand-dyed and commercial New Zealand yarns. And so that was so fun. I was so delighted with what they sent. I was totally blown away. So many yarns from dyers that I have heard of on podcasts and heard talked about and just have no access to here in New Zealand, or it's just priced out because with exchange rates and international shipping, it's just quite expensive to bring in yarns from overseas. So but they sent me some lovely stuff. I'll put in the photo of me when I opened up the package because I was just wow. So what I'm going to make, they sent me some spin cycle. Oh my goodness, I would never have been able to afford this here in New Zealand. We can get it in a really limited colour range from a couple of stores, but it never would have come into my hands. So I am absolutely delighted to have this spin cycle. This is the dyed in the, this is the Dream State version. Yeah, the Dream State version. So it's the deeper colours. It's blowing out a little bit there, but it's pink. So I'm in love, and it's called Heart Sigh. And they sent me 5 of these, which is totally a sweaters quantity. Yep, all 5 here. Are actually quite similar. Like, you know how sometimes you hear of you're getting 2 skeins of spin cycle and them just being ridiculously different. These are all pretty close, which is quite cool. So I'm going to pair this with, I have this giant cone of a possum and wool blend yarn. It's just a basic black. I brought this recently at a mill sale. In the next town over from me, there is a, what would you call it? A mill, I guess. They make commercial clothing out of merino and possum yarns. Possum fibre is a really common thing here in New Zealand. It's kind of like a luxury high-end fibre for like hiking clothing, warm clothing, and hand knitting. Possum merino socks are a big thing. Possum merino tops and sweaters and like thermal layers. Possums are a massive pest here in New Zealand, and so we do eradicate them because they kill our natural flora and fauna and all our bird life. And they now use the possum fur and blend it with merino and wool to make really beautiful warm fibres for clothing. So I brought this gigantic cone. This cost me $40. It was crazy sale, crazy sale. And I'm going to pair it with this, which is going to look really amazing. And I'm going to make a warp and weft by Jessie May Designs. I'll pop the photo in. The original sample uses a black yarn with a spin cycle, and I just love it. I wanted something that would really show off this yarn, and I couldn't think of anything better than that. You know, I looked at a lot of the Andrea Maori patterns and stuff, but a lot of those are designed to be used with the dyed in the wool, which is the sport weight version. And this is the worsted weight version, and so it's just a bit too, I didn't want to muck around with that gauge that much. So I wanted a pattern that was designed for this, so it really sings. So that is a future plan, which I'm very excited to cast on. I think as soon as I've got my test knit off the needles or my December lento, whichever one is done first, then I shall be casting on this. 3 sweaters on the needles will not get enough progress happening, even though it will be fun. I had, you know, the 2 Daft Days cardigans plus the lento in November, and that was just a bit too much. I'd rather, and especially since I still have the test knit with the timeline, with the deadline, I'd like to just, and the advent knitting, which I want to try and keep up with. I don't want to have too many things on the needles at once. I only have a short break. I start back at studying on the 22nd of January. I still have another full week of studying next week, an assessment week, and I'm still working part-time, and I still have 3 kids and a husband and holidays. So yeah, there's not endless time for knitting, so I shall hold on and not cast this on until one of my other sweaters is off the needles and all of my gift knits are done, because they have to be done in the next 2 weeks anyway. So that's my exciting plans. That's kind of all I have planned at the moment. I will cast on more socks when I finish these socks. I love to have a pair of socks on the needles. I have another friend who saw my scrappy socks. Where did they go? When I posted them on Instagram and loved them, so I thought that I would make her a pair next. Yeah, so I'll probably cast those on when I finish these ones. Maybe not till I've finished all the other gift knits as well, because I still need to finish that muscle burrow and do a whole shawl. So we'll work on that probably first. And I do have another 3 advents. I signed up with the Cray Bay's Scrappy Advent Swap, so I have an advent, like a scrappy 10 gram mini skein advent swap that I did with another lovely knitter in New Zealand. Actually, she was in the Daft Days test knit as well, so that was really cool. So I've got to know her a little bit. So we did a nice advent swap, and I'd actually signed up for an international one and a New Zealand based one, but the international one didn't end up working out. So I popped it up on my Instagram. I've prepared this other whole scrappy advent. Does anyone else want to swap with me? And another lovely knitter from New Zealand who I've connected with a little bit online said, yeah, I will. So that was really nice. So, and she's in New Zealand, so shipping's not crazy, so that's great. So we swapped as well. So I have 2 mini skein advents. They're 10 gram minis, just scrappy ones that I have sent and that I have received. So I'm very excited to open those over the next month. And I also connected with much earlier in the year, before I had purchased a hand-dyed advent, when I was trying not to purchase a hand-dyed advent, I connected with Chelsea from Sunday Knitting Society podcast, and I reached out on social media. I can't remember if I put a post on my Instagram or I just made a comment on one of her videos when we were talking about advents, one or the other, and she said that she would swap an advent with me. So we made a 20 gram mini skein advent from our stashes, and sent those. So I have one with all American yarns coming at me as well, so that's really exciting. So I have so much joy to open up. This one is the only one I'm probably going to try and knit up in December, because I've got enough going on and I really want to keep up with this one. I'll probably, the Sweet Shop blanket, you can make 2 squares from each mini skein. So I'll probably attempt to do 1 a day, and then repeat, to kind of go with the there and back again. I'll make one of them, 1 a day, and then do the second one later. I don't think I'll be able to keep up with 2 squares a day, because that's quite a lot of knitting. Last December, I did manage to knit my entire 20 gram mini skein of fingering weight into my sweater each day, but it was quite a commitment, and I had quite a lot less going on last December. So yeah, I don't think I'll, like, that's too big. I'll just get behind and then I'll get annoyed. So, and I've got other things I want to be knitting on as well, not only that. So yeah, we'll stick to just the 1 square. And the other ones I haven't really made plans for yet. For at least one of the 10 gram ones, I would like to dob them as scrappy sock yarns for next year. Like I said, I've knit a Lento sweater every month this year, and I do not want to do that again. But I would like to maybe do a pair of socks a month. That's pretty attainable. Maybe a bit looser, but do like a whole advent's worth of scrappy socks. Scrappy socks are fun. And I can't really make a sweater out of 24 10-gram mini skeins, and I've got a blanket going already. So I don't know, I've thought about maybe doing like the Whitney, Woodby, is that how you say it, sweater from, who makes that? Anyway, that sweater where you weave the strands through the finished sweater. So I thought maybe I might do something like that with some of them. If there's like a few that I can pick out that are really cohesive together. So that's a thought, or maybe a sea glass sweater or sea glass tee. I've made one of those before and it's a bit of a slog. There's so many ends, and that 1x1 colour work is pretty slow going. So I'm not totally convinced on that plan. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really made plans for them yet, but I'm going to enjoy opening them and getting some yarny joy every day, and then I shall decide what they shall become when I see the whole colour palette. Maybe one of those will become my Dark Day shawl. I don't know. We'll see. I think that is about all I have to share with you today. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It's so fun to talk about my knitting and to share. I don't have a lot of in real life knitting friends, and so it's really nice to have an opportunity to talk about my knitting, what I've been knitting on, what I'm planning to be knitting on. So feel free to leave me a comment. It would be lovely to engage with you. You'll also find me on Ravelry and Instagram as RebeccaAnneKnits, so feel free to follow me in either of those places if you would like to. Yeah, and I shall join you again sometime soon, I hope, to talk about more of what I've finished knitting on and what I've started knitting on. And yeah, and I'll bring you a video just on all my mentos as well once they're done, because that will be fun. And I'd love to do like a pattern roundup, like everything I knit in 2023, because I haven't been podcasting, so you haven't seen any of it. So that would be quite fun to make. So I may try and do that as well. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Thank you so much if you have stumbled across this little podcast and have watched to the end. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to joining you again sometime in the future. Happy knitting, everyone.